We're starting the last three words of Ches Amud Beis, going to Tes Amud Aleph. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Ha'omer Pesach Pasuach Matzasi Ne'eman La'osra Alav. If a man says that after he had relations with his wife the first time, Pesach Pasuach, euphemism in opening, i.e. that she was not a Besula, she was not a virgin. So he married her assuming she was, and it turned out she wasn't. So he is believed to the extent that she will now be forbidden to him. Rashi says, Ha'omer Pesach Pasuach Matzasi V'tanas Damim Ein Lo. So she does have his claim, is that Pesach Pasuach, but he does not claim that I had relations with her, I didn't see blood. The assumption is that when you have relations the first time, there's Dam Besulim, that if she's a virgin, then there will be blood. So we're not talking about making that claim. Why? Because we're assuming that maybe perhaps she's from the Durkati family. They're known not to have Dam Besulim. Or that the cloth which they used to clean themselves off afterwards was lost, so they can't check to see if there was blood. Below yada'im hayadam im lav, and therefore they don't know if there's blood. Aval zos berura lo shepesach pasuach matzah. But he is certain, again, Pesach pasuach, that she was not a besula. So his claim is Pesach pasuach and not Tanas damim. We'll see later, because Tanas damim is a stronger claim than Pesach pasuach. So now the Gemara asks, why is he believed to the extent that now she is forbidden to him? Svek sveikahu. We have a svek sveika. Why? Safek tachtav, safek ein tachtav. Perhaps she had relations with somebody else again. The assumption is that in those times, Kiddushin and Nisuin were a year apart. So they had Kiddushin. So at that point, she's obviously forbidden to sleep with anybody else. So what's the safek? First safek is perhaps she had relations with somebody after they were engaged, which would be problematic. But safek ein tachtav, perhaps it happened beforehand. Then that wouldn't be a problem. V'im tim tzelomar tachtav, and even if it did happen after the kiddushin, safek be'oneh, safek beratzon. Perhaps she did it consensually, but perhaps she was raped. And if she was raped, then she would be permitted to her husband. So since we have a svek sveika, why do we believe him? So first of all, we should do Rashi. What does it mean, Ne'eman L'osra Alav? Why do we believe him in the first place? Rashi says, Ve'afal b'she'ein hadavar hazeh yachol hisbar ela al piv. Even though everything that we're basing everything on his claim, so all we know is based on his claim, Pesach Pasuach Matzasi. Nevertheless, L'gabe nafshe have meheman. With respect to himself, we believe his claim. L'shavye aleh chatiche di isura. We're applying the principle of shavye nafsha chatiche di isura, that if you want, you are believed to take out essentially a slice of isur for yourself. So therefore we believe him, and therefore he can't have relations with her. Aval lehafsida ksubasa lo meheman. But we don't believe him to the extent that she will lose her ksuba. We believe him to say that, okay, it's true, you want to say that Pesach Pasuach, therefore she's aser to you, that's fine. However, we're not going to believe you to the extent where the woman now is going to lose out. Because again, in terms of losing her ksuba. So based on that we ask, but there's this svek sveika, why do we believe him? So the Gemara answers, Lo tzricha be'eshes kohen. So either we're dealing with an Eshes Kohen, v'i ba'is ema be'eshes Yisrael, u'chegon dekabil ba'avua kiddushin b'chusa mibas gimel shanim v'yom echad. So there are two answers the Gemara offers. One is we're dealing with an Eshes Kohen. Why is an Eshes Kohen matter? Rashi tells us Eshes Kohen Sheha'ones asurba hilchachad sapeku. Because when it comes to an Eshes Kohen, even if she was raped, she still becomes aser to the Kohen. So you don't have a svek sveik anymore. You only have one safek. Safek tachtav, safek ein tachtav. It doesn't matter safek baratzon, safek be'ones. Either way, she's going to be aser to him. So either that, or the other answer given is we're dealing with a situation where the father accepts kiddushin for the girl before she turns 3. Why? Rashi says, P'chusa mibas gimel shanim, v'achshav hi gudola. And at this point, she now becomes, she's now over 3. Upituyeha pitui. ve'eno ones. And if she's seduced, that's considered seduction, and it's not considered ones. Hilchach chad safek ika. There's only one safek we're dealing with. Safek ones, safek ratzon. We're only dealing with, well, maybe she did it consensually, and maybe she was raped. Aval safek tachtav, safek ein tachtav leika. That first safek doesn't apply. Why? She'ilu niv'ala kodem lachein. If she had relations before she turned 3, haya bisuleha chozrin, then her bisulim would have come back, and therefore you can't say savik tachtav, savik ein tachtav. It's clear that if she doesn't have her bisulim, it happened tachtav, and therefore you're only left with one safek, and that's what we would believe. So with 2 answers, each answer gets rid of a different safek, ultimately gets rid of the sfek sveka, and therefore we still say shavya nafsha chaticha di isura. It's still, I don't say it's a chiddush, but it's interesting because the whole idea of shavin nafshe chaticha d'isura is you're saying it's aser, so with respect to you, we're going to treat you as aser. So we're saying even that's limited, meaning if it's a sex feka, we're not going to believe you. Which you might say, well, we should always believe you. If it's you making the claim, who cares if it's a sfex feka? But we're saying, even though you're making the claim, if there's a sfex feka, we're still not going to believe you to make it aser for yourself. Only if there's one safek in the case can we apply the principle of shavya nafsha chaticha d'isur.
So even if she claimed that she was raped, it would still apply then?
If she claims
that she was raped,
and he says it wasn't.
Well, how does he know? He wasn't there.
Oh, sorry. With respect to her, sorry. So she claims she was raped. That should get rid of this feka.
But it's not a feka because there's only one. Because they're saying that there's 2: is whether it happened before, and now also whether it happened or whether she was raped. So now we got rid of one of them. It's only a single suffix.
Correct.
But why? So why is that enough to usher him? She could always. Why can't she claim that she was raped? Why isn't that good enough to?
But the thing is, I think so. Now I have to think about if she's making a claim, we should believe her, and if we believe her, then this whole thing falls apart, right?
Right.
Then we don't have a savik. Then you'd have to. Well, if she was raped, then it depends. If it's Nashis Cohen, it's a problem. If it's Yisrael, then it's fine. I don't think this would all apply. Okay. Perhaps she also is suffix. She also doesn't know. Maybe in this case, she doesn't remember. So now the Gemara continues. So my kamash malan. What's the chiddush of this teaching? Essentially, that shavya nafsha chaticha d'isur. Rashi says my kamash malan she'adam ne'eman al atzmo les or lo samutar al piv. You know what are you teaching us by telling us that if a man says, well, that's aser to me, that we believe him and we treat it as aser? Tanina, we've already learned this. Ha'omer liisha kidashtich v'hi omer lo kidashtani. A man says, I'm engaged to this woman, and the woman says, no, you're not engaged to me. So he muteres bikrovav. She can then, whatever, if something happens afterwards, she can then is permitted to marry any of his relatives. But he is forbidden to marry from her relatives, because from his perspective, they're married, and therefore they're all going to be considered erva now, right? That's all Maseches Yevamos, and therefore he can't marry any of these of her relatives. So if we already learned that, what's the chiddush of our teaching? We already know shavya nafsha chaticha d'isura. So mahu detema, what would you have thought? Hasam devadai kimle. In the case of kiddushin, so tvada, you know if there's kiddushin. You know it's very simple to tell. Did you give her the ring? Not whatever. So therefore, in that case, when you can make a vadai claim, essentially, we'll believe you. Aval hacha mekam hu delo kimle. Perhaps in this case, we're not going to believe the man. Why? Because how does he know? I mean, he's saying Pesach Basuach Matzasi. You know, how many Basulas has he slept with? You know, how much experience does a man have with a Basula? Hopefully not more than once or twice, whatever it is. It's not very much. So therefore, perhaps you would say, therefore we wouldn't believe him in this case. So maybe even though he says Pesach Basuach, maybe we'd say, yeah, but you don't actually know, so we're not going to believe you. Kamash Milan, and even in this case, we're going to say that you become Aser to the woman. Now the Gemara asks, again, this whole statement initially was made by Rabbi Elazar. So, Umi Amar Rabbi Elazar Haki, did Rabbi Elazar really say that if you say Pesach Batzuach Ne'eman La'osar Alav? V'hamar Rabbi Elazar, Ein ha'isha ne'eseres al bala ella al iske kinoi ustira uchmaisa shahaya. Rabbi Elazar says that a woman only becomes forbidden to her husband with respect to kinoi v'stira. Kinoi v'stira is with the sota. Kina v'stira means you warn her not to be secluded with a man, and stira, and then ultimately she is secluded with that man. So in that case, Correct. We'll get there in a second. In that case, you are forbidden to her. But in other cases, you're not. Maisa shahaya. What's the Maisa shahaya that they're talking about? So Rashi says Batsheva. The story of David and Batsheva. Quickly, a quick recap. What's the story of David and Batsheva? His story is Batsheva is married to a man, Uriah. David is married to a man, Uriah. Batsheva is married to a man, Uriah Hachiti. David sees Batsheva one night, is attracted to her, has relations with her. Now Uriah is out in battle. It's a time of battle. David calls Uriah back, and I think is nervous and tells Uriah to have relations with Batsheva, and he says, "No, I can't. It's in the middle of battle." And David gets upset at Uriah, and essentially gets Uriah killed. He tells Yoav, who's the general, to put Uriah in a dangerous place in the battlefield, where essentially somebody's going to die. The battle takes place. Uriah dies, and David ends up marrying Batsheva. That's the story. So now the Gemara asks. So that doesn't. If you think about it for a second, Rabbi Lazar said a woman only becomes forbidden to a man because of kinoi v'stira, with i.e. the case of Sota, and like the story of David and Batsheva. So the story of Batsheva has nothing to do with Sota. So that's what the Gemara asks. Tizbara, Maisa Shahaya bekinoi v'stira hava. The story there was no kinoi v'stira. He didn't warn David being secluded with her. That didn't take place. Ve'od mi asruha, and beyond that, she wasn't asr to him. Rashi says mi asruha al Uriah. Whoever said that Batsheva became asr to Uriah. Why? Di'ilu ne'asra al Uriah. If she would have been forbidden to Uriah, Nesra Afal David, then she would have been forbidden to David as well. Kiddik Kaimalan, because we learn in Sota, Kishem Sha'asur L'Baal, Kacha Asur L'Boel, that she becomes forbidden both to the man she had relations with and to her husband. And she obviously wasn't asr to David because they ended up getting married. So then she obviously wasn't asr to Uriah as well. So how can you bring up the story Chmaisa Shahaya? What does that have to do with anything? So we said first of all, it doesn't do with anything. It's talking about didn't become asr. Hello Kashya. So no, it's not a problem. Haki Kamar. This is what Rabbi Lazar meant to say. Ein ha'isha ne'aseres al bala ela al iske kinoi v'stira. A woman only becomes forbidden to her husband if we're dealing with the case of kinoi v'stira. Mimaisa shahaya, because we learned from the story of David and Batsheva, to lo hava kinoi v'stira, because there was no kinoi v'stira in that case, below itzra, and she did not become asr to him. So we see in that case, even though seemingly everybody knew that David had relations with Batsheva, since there was no kinoi v'stira, since there was no warning to the wife and then seclusion afterwards, she's not going to become asr to her husband, and ultimately to the Boel as well. So then the Gemara, so that was almost a side point. Now the Gemara comes back, Mikol Makom Kashya, but nevertheless this is problematic. Why? Because kinoi v'stira in the statement here, Rabbi Lazar said, only for kinoi v'stira it seems that you become forbidden to the wife. Pesach pasuach lo. But if you make a claim that she was a Pesach pasuach, that she wasn't a basula, seemingly you wouldn't become asr. And Rabbi Lazar initially said that you are ne'eman la'osra alav. So what happens? So now the Gemara asks, kinoi v'stira in edim lo. You think the statement is dafka? You think it's only kinoi v'stira? And the Gemara asks, you think kinoi v'stira yes, but edim no? Certainly, if there were edim who witnessed this woman have relations with a man, she's going to be forbidden to her husband. So obviously, therefore, you can't take the statement as literal as it is. So we change it. Elahachi kamar. So this is what the statement really is. Ein ha'isha ne'aseres al bala be'ed echad ela b'shnei edim. In order for a woman to become asr to her husband, a man to become asr to his wife, there needs to be two edim that she slept with somebody else. If there's only one witness that she slept with somebody else, they're still mutter. But kinoi v'stira, if there was kinoi v'stira, afilu be'ed echad nami, then as long as there's only one aid who witnesses it, that's good enough. So you don't need shnei edim for kinoi v'stira. According to Rabbi Lazar, you only need one aid. And it can include upesach pasuach kishnei edim dami. And the case of Pesach Pasuach, we're treating as if it's a case of Shnei Edim. I think the reason is because it's Barer Lo. Since he's so certain that she's a Besula, so therefore we'll believe him as if it's Shnei Edim, and that's why he will be Aser to the woman. Now the Gemara sidetracks for a second. So if that's the case, then how was David not forbidden from marrying Bathsheba afterwards? Rashi says, there were many witnesses who knew that David had relations with Bathsheba. So if you're telling me whenever there's Edim, she becomes forbidden to him, then how can you possibly... how can we assume that David was permitted to marry Bathsheba? So Hasam Ones Hava. So either the first answer is that it was Ones, that she didn't necessarily agree to this, which is a big chiddush, because if you assume it's Ones, what it means? It means that David essentially did it against her will. Her husband died, and then David was allowed to marry her. Since it was against her will, she didn't become aser to her husband. Therefore, she didn't become aser to the one who essentially raped her, and therefore, after the husband died, she's now permitted to marry the one who. So that's a bit of a chiddush, but that's the first answer. And the second answer, v'bais ema ki hada amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani amar Rabbi Yonasan. So kol hayotze lemilchemes beis David get krisus kosev leishto. So whoever used to go to battle in times of David, so they would write a get to their wife. Dichsiv, how do we know that? Because with respect to David, when Yishai sends David to go check on his brothers with the battle with Goliath, Ves achecha tifkod leshalom, go, seek out their welfare. Ves arubasam tikach. So my ves arubasam tikach. What does it mean you should take arubasam? Tani Rav Yosef devarim hameuravin beino lebeina. You should take the matter which me'uravin, which commingles and taroves, mixture between the man and the wife. So Rashi here says devarim hameuravin beino lebeina. So elu kiddushin. So you should take their kiddushin. How do you take their kiddushin? Next Rashi, tikach titol mi benehem ay they get. So take a get from them and have them write a get. So what kind of get are we dealing with? The first Rashi on the Amud, get krisus kosev liishto, she'im yamus b'milchama, yehei get miyom ksivaso, v'harei meis uriah b'milchama. So they used to write a get that if they die in battle, the get would be effective from the day it was written. It was a retroactive. It's essentially a get al tanai. That if I'm going to die, then the get should take effect from the day that I wrote this get. Veharei meis uriah b'milchama. What's the point? The point is that you don't have in aguna. So why does that help? In this case, since Uriah ended up dying, what we say is, well, he wrote the get before. So since he ended up dying, it's as if the get was retroactive to when he wrote it initially. Therefore, when David had relations with Bathsheba, it's as if she wasn't married.
How does it help if the Bia took place before he...
So some of the people out there, first off, were showing me the Art Scroll summarizes Tosfos. I haven't had a chance to look at it. Apparently, Tosfos argues with Rashi. And he says it was actually a full-fledged get. We're not dealing with get all tonight. And I think one of the reasons is dafka that. Okay, it's true after the fact she wasn't married, but b'shaita when David did have relations with Bathsheba, she was married. So I think that's one problem. That perhaps is one problem. So apparently Tosfos writes that it's Rabbeinu Tam that it's no tonight. That it's absolutely that it's a full-fledged get, and then they would get remarried when they came back.
It's still a problem with that, because David asked him to go to his wife. Now, if a woman has relations with another person after a get, she's not allowed to go back to his wife. And yet, it makes more sense that she was forced.
Machzir, not forget Kohen. Nobody's allowed to do Machzir Grusha. So there's always an issue for Machzir. If you have relations with somebody else in the middle.
Right.
So you're saying you had relations with David. Is if you have relations or if you have married to somebody else in the middle?
I don't know.
That's what I think it might be Kiddush in the middle. So I don't know if it's just other relations in the middle.
They also mentioned in our school that she was a minor.
Okay, so that might help as well. My question on Rashi even is, it seems a strange get to write, because the whole point of the get is to protect the aguna. So if it's to protect the aguna, you should only make the get a valid get if essentially you don't know if he dies, if you don't return to battle at a certain time. In this case, if you know he dies, then it's not beneficial at all to the woman, because then she, instead of becoming an almana, she becomes a grusha, and then she can't remarry a kohen. It brings limitations upon her.
Sometimes in the battle you never find the body.
Exactly. If that were the case, that would make more sense for the get to be effective. But Rashi's and the assumption in Gemara is that even though they knew Uriah died, and they saw him die, the get still took effect. It seems a bit of a, it seems that it doesn't seem to be needed. You would assume that they would have worded the get differently. Rashi clearly says Sheim Yamus b'milchama, that if you die in battle, then the get is retroactive one time you wrote it.
Wasn't there some aspect that he was Chayat Misa because he didn't listen to Tzvi the Melech?
Right.
Either way, but that doesn't, that might be true, but that doesn't really help with the David and Bathsheba aspect of the story. That could have been why David might have been justified, perhaps, of putting him out the front of the battle, but it doesn't really justify everything that happened. You still need to find justification for that. Okay, so that ends that part of the Gemara. So now the Gemara continues with the statement of Aryai. So Amar Aryai af anan name tanina. We also learned what Rashi here tells us, meaning Rashi says, Apananami Tanina, de Toim Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, that if he claims that Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, that she was no longer Besula, Asra Alav, she then becomes forbidden to him, Below Amrinan, Lo Kimle, and we don't say that, he's not actually sure about his claim. So what's the case that he brings up? Besula Niseis Layom Haravi'i. That a Besula should get married on Wednesday. Liyom Revi'in, Liyom Chamishi Lo, a Davka Wednesday, and not Thursday. My taima, what's the difference? Mishum Ikrure Daita. Because we're concerned he's going to have time to cool down. So the assumption is, we'll see what exactly the claim is. The assumption is he gets married, he has relations with his wife, and he's upset. And because he's upset, he wants to go and make a claim in the Beis Din. So if it happens Wednesday night, so then the next morning Beis Din sits on Thursday, they go to the Beis Din on Thursday, he makes his claim and takes care of whatever has to be taken care of. We're concerned that if he gets married Thursday night, then he can only go to the Beis Din 3 days later. Can't go Friday, can't go Shabbos, Sunday, it's really you have to wait all the way till Monday. So we're concerned if you wait till Monday, he's going to have time to cool down. So what are we dealing with, and why does all that matter? Cool down from what? That's what the Gemara asks. Ulamai. So if he wants to give her a ksuba, so let him give the ksuba. Who cares whether he comes to Beis Din, it's time to cool down. That's his decision. Ella leosra alav. So it must be talking about a case where she will become forbidden to him. Videkatayin taina, because he's making a claim, and therefore she's going to become forbidden to him. So we want him, since he's concerned that perhaps she is forbidden to him, so we want him to come when he's still angry, make the claim, because then we can say formally that he is aser to this woman. Once he becomes aser, since we're concerned that she's aser to him, so we want that to take place. If he's going to have time 3 days to think about it and then go to Beis Din, he'll be like, it's not such a bad thing. You know what? I'm not going to go. And therefore, he might remain with somebody who is aser to him. So that is what Beis Din is trying to prevent. So then the Gemara asks, my love to kata'in tanas Pesach Pasuach. So aren't we dealing with a case when he says Pesach Pasuach and therefore she becomes aser to him? And that would again imply that Pesach Pasuach, he's naman to say Pesach Pasuach to make her aser to him. No, the Katayin Tanas Damim. The claim is that he did not see blood after they had relations. And Rashi here just said, why is that better? Tanas Damim. Ditana Mivureres. This is a very clear and stronger, much stronger claim. We can't say, well, maybe you're not experienced, maybe you don't know. Well, do you see blood? If there's blood there, that's it. There's nothing to know. When it comes to Pesach Pasuach, we might say that we're not actually going to believe you because who says that Again, it's not something which is so easy to tell, and who thinks you're so certain about this case?
I'm missing something here. If he's masking to being with her, so why do we care whether or not it turns out that she was or wasn't a basula? He's okay about it. He's masking. He's okay. You know what? Not what I expected, but.
There's no problem.
No, because...
No, we're saying she's aser to him. No, we're saying she's aser.
If she has... Because at this time... Because when they have Kiddushin, she becomes an Ish Azish. If she has relations with somebody else after,
I'm saying maybe she had relations before they, in other words, before he was ever, they did to know him, before there was a first aspect. She can claim, 3 years before.
And she doesn't say she was raped.
Yeah, she didn't say it was raped, but she had relations with somebody. She wasn't an Ashes Ish at that point when she had relations. She just is a Benuya. She was a single person. So if he's masking to the fact of being with her, why do we ask her? Unless it's only be in the case of Ashes Ish.
no, because that's the concern. Again, it's true. I don't think we know bivados. I don't think we know for sure. But because there's a concern, if she did it biratzon, then she would be aser to him. If it's be'onez, then she's fine. But if it was biratzon,
If it was baratzon before they were ever engaged, it's not a problem. And before the kedushin.
Why is it not?
correct. But maybe it was.
Why is it not a
But
problem? We had this on before. I wanted to ask you the same question. Why is it not a problem?
to do what?
She can do whatever she wants before she gets engaged.
I mean, it's not appropriate to do that. But it's not going to make her aser to marry anybody.
Off the board, and that's it.
No,
It's
it's
not
not
us,
also. It's not also to
Not
anybody.
us.
because-
Why should she become aser to anybody? If she has relations with somebody before, if she has premarital relations, then she can never get married again.
So isn't Bia one of the ways to?
You need to have kavana. There are different ways. There's a Rav eventually.
Maybe he did. The one who had relations with her didn't want her for a wife.
Rav eventually got rid of that.
Do whatever she
But
wants.
Rav said that anybody does that get
I
tchirim.
wouldn't want her to.
No, maybe it's an avera, but it's not enough to not never marry anybody again. It's just
But for Kohen it is.
Yeah.
for Kohen
Only if
Law,
it's
so
only
that's
with a
the
goy.
thing.
Only if she was with a goy.
With a goy, it's better than with a Jew.
No, it was worse if it was with a goy.
Why?
She can't be with a goy. Cohen can't marry someone who was with
No,
a
not the Kohen, regular.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. No, okay, either way.
Sorry,
What he just said.
I didn't hear that 100%.
So basically, you're always talking about the situation where we're worried that she did it after Kedushin.
We're worried she did it after Kedushin and it was Baratzon.
Okay, fine.
That's what we're concerned about. It's true, you might have this Sfex Feka,
Right.
but nevertheless, we're concerned that might be true, and therefore, if he's saying Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, we're going to be, and therefore we'll say,
Okay, she got it.
again, but we limited it a bit, because we said, Ashes Kohen, we limited it when he's going to be believed, but either way.
There's two issues. One is we want to. It seems that the Gemara is making two issues. One is that we want him to stay angry that he's been deceived, and go to Basin. That's the
Okay.
I'm not sure why we.
No, we only want him to. It's not. We want him to do that because we love, having people upset and want them to Beis Din. We're only doing that for the purpose because we want him to make the claim that she was a basula, and therefore, because maybe she did something wrong, therefore she would become aser to him, and we're.
It's only Asura that we're worried about.
Yeah.
It seems like the Gemara is making that there are two separate things. So they're arguing. No, it's.
No, I think it's really the only concern that we want him to be, hot-headed, so he comes to Beis Din, so he makes the claim, so he becomes aser to her, because perhaps she really is aser to him. That's what that's
the only issue. And that's, it's always been the only issue.
Yeah, I think so. That's the quote-unquote desired outcome. Obviously not desired, but that's what Beis Din's looking for in this case. So now the Gemara continues, and the Gemara is actually going to introduce perhaps a new principle and go beyond where we started. Because the first case we said, if you say Pesach Pasuach, you're Neman La'osra Alav. Now the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Ha'omer Pesach Pasuach Batsasi, Neman Lafsida Ksubasa. Not only does she become Aser to you, she doesn't get her Ksuba. So, obviously that bumps your Nemanus up a lot more than beforehand. Amar Rav Yosef, my kamash melano. What's the chiddush? Tanina, we already learned this. Why? Ha'ochel etzel chami biYehuda shelo be'edim eno yachol liton tanas besulim mipnei shemisyachid ima. So the custom again was that the kiddushin took place, and then 12 months later they got married. So let's say a man went to visit his father-in-law, i.e., went to visit his kala, and they lived in Yehuda. So what was in Yehuda? They had a practice where they would actually put the man, the chassan and kala, the not yet married couple, but the engaged couple, in yichud. Why? Rashi said, the Gemara tells us, we want them to become familiar with each other. We don't want them to, get married and not know each other. We want them to start the relationship, we could say, a bit earlier. So therefore, if there aren't witnesses who can say, well, there's no way that they had relations with each other, he can no longer make a claim of Tanas Besulim. Why? because they're in yichud together. Maybe he had relations with her, so we're not going to believe you to say tanas besulim. Who says maybe that one time you were in yichud together, you had relations with her? But the Gemara says it's true. You can't make this claim in Yehuda because that was where the practice was to be put the chassan and kala together in yichud. Habegalil, but everywhere else, but they didn't have that practice. Matzitayin. Then you can make the claim of tanas besulim. Ulamai. And what are we believing you for in this case? Ila osra alav. If it's just to make her aser to you, bihuda amilo. Well, in Yehuda, why not? If he wants to say she's aser to him, so who cares where it is? Our only concern was he was one who had relations with her, so it doesn't really matter. So if you just make her aser to him, who cares where you are? Elolav, it must be lahafsita ksubasa. So it must be that we're talking about a case where it's not just believing that she becomes aser to him, it's where she actually loses her ksuba. So if we're concerned that you are the one in relation, so you can't be the one to make her lose her ksuba, that wouldn't be fair. But if you're not the one who's suspected, because it's everywhere else, and you were never in yichud with her, so then you are believed to lose her ksuba. So this is all based on a claim. My love, the katayin tainas pesach pasuach. Isn't the claim that you made here that she only had pesach pasuach? Lo, again, the katayin tainas damim. The claim was that she was that she didn't see blood and not that it was pesach pasuach. I'm going to go on a bit. I went on this morning a bit because it was a short DAF. So we'll continue a bit. So here we've actually bumped up a lot. So what's the change? Before we just said she only neman laosra lab. Now we're saying it's lahavsi ksubasa. So it's based on the following Gemara that's going to come up. Itmar. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Chachamim tiknu lehem livnos Yisrael lebesula masayim b'lamana maneh. The Chacham are the ones who instituted the ksuba to give the besula 200 zuz and the almana 100. Vehem heminuhu shimamar pesach basuach matzasi neman. And they're also the ones who say that we believe him. He says pesach basuach. So you know why he's believed? Because ksuba is the Rabbanan. And therefore, when the Rabbanan make a clause, they can always build in whatever, when they make an enactment, they can always build in whatever clause they want. So built into this idea of, a woman gets a ksuba is if the husband says pesach basuach matzasi, she doesn't get a ksuba. So then the Gemara says, then what's this takana that they made? Then it's not helping. The husband always just say, pesach basuach matzasi, won't have to pay the ksuba, and the end of the story. So how does it help to the whole idea of instituting the ksuba, part of it is that you don't want the man to just go ahead and divorce his wife whenever he wants. But if you're giving all the koach back to the man to just say pesach pasuach and she doesn't get her ksuba, then you haven't helped it with anything. So Amarava, so Rava says no. Chazaka ein adam torech b'seuda al mafsida. You know what? We have a strong chazaka. We have a strong assumption that what? If a man is going to plan a wedding, he's not going to go ahead and throw it away the next day and say, pesach pasuach matzasi, just for the benefit of 200 zuz or whatever it's going to be. So since we have that chazaka, that builds up his ne'emanus. So therefore, he's saying pesach pasuach matzasi, and that now, because that comes together with the chazaka, well, he's not going to just throw it away. Therefore, we're going to believe him. And since we are going to believe him, we are, so that's why she's nema not only laosra alav, but also lahafsid ksubasa. The question is then, why does the first shita with Rabbi Elazar back on Tessa Amid Aleph say only nema laosra alav? What does he do with the chazaka? You have to somehow work out, what exactly the machlokes is, because they're saying the same case. One says laosra alav, and here's saying no, even lahafsid ksubasa because of the chazaka. So now just one more part of the Gemara here. So Tana hoyel uknas chachamim hu lo sigbe elamina ziboris. Since the ksuba is only a takana durabanan, you have to collect it from ziboris. There are three. We assume that there are three different stages or status of land that a person can have. Idis is the best, Beinonis, and Ziboris is the worst. So since if the woman's entitled to money, she can collect it from his land. Now, we're not saying it's a different amount, but I guess people prefer to receive a smaller portion of a nice field than a lot of land in a bad field. So what he's saying here is, since it's a knas chachamim, she can only collect from the worst part parts of the field, for the worst portions of the field. So then Gemara says, Knasa? My Knasa? What do you mean Knas? Why is there a fine? What fine? What did the person do that he deserved a fine in this case? So Ela Eima, it's not a fine. Since it's a takana from the Chachamim, Lo Sigbe Ela Min Ha Ziboris. That only gives him right to collect from the Ziboris and none of the better land. We'll stop here. Tomorrow the Gemara will continue, at least with some discussion. Ksuba is Doraisa or Dorbanan, and move on from there.